Welcome, welcome to Just Minding My Business. I am so happy that you stopped by today. Our guest today is committed to raising the standard in real estate by making it safe, legal, and ethical. Caleb Christopher is a builder of businesses, systems, and of people, known for his ability to take complex problems and break them into practical, repeatable solutions. He has become a trusted voice in the real estate investor industry. His companies, Creative TC, DOS Guard, and Creative Title Company, are known for their practical application of deep expertise. At the center of the companies is Caleb's, get this right, personal vision, raising the standards. Wow. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am so happy that you're here today.
Thank you. I I appreciate our little pre-show conversation. You're already doing some of the best practices that I constantly preach.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yes. Yes, indeed. So, how did this journey start?
Well, I've just been one of those guys who's never only had one job. It's always been multiple endeavors. So I used to work for other people, but I heard this concept of being unemployable. And I was like, I kind of feel like that as I worked for other people. I was an entrepreneur, like building things within their companies. And now I've owned companies and had employees at this point, and I'm thinking I like entrepreneurs, but there needs to be an agreement. Like, are you actually an entrepreneur or are you an entrepreneur? Are you working inside the safety box that I created with a salary for you? Or are you just looking to grow? And that's been a recent thing because I'm on a hiring spree right now and I'm identifying people who have that builder mentality, but do they have the builder mentality of, hey, I just want to learn and leave? Because that's not a good hire for me.
No.
Or do they have the builder mentality where it's like, I appreciate the stability and foundation that you being the risk taker and creating a business opportunity provides, and I want to build within that framework. And hunting, that's a big difference. It makes a lot of difference in the success rate of your long-term employment and the satisfaction of your employees.
Absolutely. I can't agree with you more. And a lot of times, I've worked in corporate America for a very, very long time. And I can count on one hand the companies that really separate the employees who want to grow and continue to build within the organization and the ones who are just there for the income. And as soon as they achieve what they're looking for, they're out the door. So
Yeah.
I
We
definitely get
we
that.
just interviewed a guy and I saw he had three startups in his resume. And I said, if I hire you, how long before I lose you? What do you mean? What do you mean? What do I mean? You're a serial entrepreneur. So are like ultimately I'm thinking he just wants the financial stability and recovery from a stable job and he's going to leave and go try again at another thing. Because wouldn't I want to do the same? So
Mm-hmm.
it's not a mark against him from my point because there's a possible relationship where it's like, hey, let's engage under these terms and manage our expectations of one another,
Yes.
right? Because I don't want to give you 90 days of training up and then you leave. So
Yes.
what can we do?
Yes. And that's definitely keeping it real. Okay, so one of the things that really caught my eye with your company is that it's 100% remote.
Hmm.
So let's talk about that and some of the critical processes or systems that you've put in place to make that a smooth endeavor.
How does it work? How do you run 100% remote company, Caleb? And I have an international workforce. I've got a few people in the US and I've been recruiting out of South Africa. And I'm recently just pushing into a recruiting firm to hire like an upper level person direct into the company in Eastern Europe. So uh, what we do is we use Zoom. So you and I are in a Zoom call now. We use Zoom and we use breakout rooms. So I have
Mhm.
a paid Zoom account and we have a recurring meeting. Literally, if you visit zoom.creativetc.io, you're in my virtual office because I also have a lobby. So we treat it as much as possible like a real business in format. We have a lobby. It's like you can walk in the front door, you go to my website, you click a link, anyone can join from their phone, whatever. And somebody is on reception duty and they'll say, "Hi, welcome to Creative TC. Do you have an appointment with somebody or would you like to set up one?" And we just let people walk in. And so, on my mission to create safe, legal, and ethical deals, we do 15-minute free consults anyway. So, if somebody's available on the spot, let's have a chat. If they're not, let's schedule one. So, we try to make it look and feel like a real brick and mortar business as far as your ability to interact with us and visit us and call us on the phone, etc. But the breakout rooms really allow us to have all staff on duty just in a breakout room. And everybody on our team is made a co host, guests or not. So when you're a co-host in Zoom, not everybody knows this, you can see inside the other breakout rooms. And so we have a list. We have conference rooms 1 through 10, private offices 1 through 10, and you can see who's in which. And if I'm in a private office, you have to send me a chat message on the computer. You can't just barge in and say, "Hey, Caleb, I got a question," because that's my focus time.
Mhm.
And if I don't need to focus, I'm supposed to put myself in a conference room so that it's like open door, shut door of an office. Can somebody walk past? I've worked in physical offices before. Somebody's working with their door shut. You send them a chat message and see whenever they're available. If their door's open, "Hey, I got a quick question for you." So we've been able to replicate that very, very well in the environment, and the team does pretty well. And you can also see the status of somebody's camera and microphone. You can see if they're talking, you can see if their microphone's off, or if their camera's on, or if they're screen sharing. So you can see a room with 3 people in it, one person sharing a screen. I'm like, excellent. These people are working together on a project. They're getting something done together. I love it. And it's not about being the police. And I feel like I'm monologuing, but I'm almost done because I love this. The other thing is, we have cameras on policy. You can turn it off for a minute. You can step away from the computer for a minute. But generally, even if you're in a room alone, your camera's on. Why? Because if I step into a Zoom room and your camera's turned off, I'm like, "Hey, Ida, are you there?" And I feel stupid. I feel awkward. Are you there? And maybe you are, maybe you aren't. It's weird. So I should be able to pop into a room, and if you're not at your camera, if you're not at your desk, be like, "Oh, let me just check in a minute." Right? So it's about being polite and setting expectations. Am I available to be talked to or not?
Yes, yes, and that makes sense. I mean, because anything you can duplicate in a brick and mortar, anything you can do in a brick and mortar, you can do in a remote environment.
For the most part. I would say the pace is not as fast as
Yes,
it can be. I don't think anybody can make a solid claim that a 100% remote team gets the same amount of stuff done in the same time frame as the intensity or the energy of an in-person office is just different than a 100% remote. That said, there's nothing wrong with either one.
right, exactly. Now, for me, I get more done remotely. I hate the brick and mortar. I prefer being in my space, doing what I need to do because I've done it. So in the IT field, you do it a lot,
Yeah.
And before work, I would get up and prep my day. Who do I need to talk to first? Kind of prioritize maybe from something that happened yesterday and I
Yeah.
wasn't able to get to that person. So that person is at the top of the list. And I like that. And I could be in my pajamas doing that piece of it and then go get dressed when it's time for me to interact on camera. I absolutely loved it. And when the pandemic happened, oh my God, I was like, okay, this is what I need to be doing. And it was a wonderful time. And when they wanted us to come back to the office, I was kicking and screaming.
I did get caught with pajama pants on once. I had to stand up. I was given some example and I stood up and they were like, "Was that Christmas trees?" Oh man.
But that's the fun part, That's
Yeah.
like, okay, we home. Come on now. That's not normal that I would stand up. All you need to worry
Yeah.
about is what you see normally.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so that answers a lot of the questions. So you also embrace the duality of being a visionary and an operator.
Ugh. Embrace. Eh, I gotta do both, so I guess I embrace it.
So how so how do you intentionally switch between the two roles?
Inefficiently. Honestly, I don't know. I don't have an answer for this one. I have the visionary tendencies. I like to create. I recently took a test called Working Genius. Not necessarily endorsement for it. It's pretty obvious when you read it. It's like, okay, well, this is all pretty obvious. The value came as I looked at it. It has a little section at the bottom that talks about your team composition. And I was like, that's where the value is because it's got six different areas and basically breaks it down to three buckets. What two items out of the six give you energy? You just thrive on that stuff. Which two are you basically core competencies? Like you could do this pretty much all day and not burn out unless that's the only thing you did. And then there's two things that it's like, please, no, don't make me do that. Right. But if everybody has the same please, no on your team, you've got a big gap because these are all areas of working genius. And so the encourager, the galvanizer, the person who is a big on discernment or wonder, like I'm big on the wonder. I just like to think about stuff and come up with ideas, invention, etc. Those are my areas that give me energy. Let me show you a notepad full of just thoughts and ideas. So, but that has to be paired with execution because ideas are worthless without execution.
True.
And so I need other people who can galvanize, and galvanizing is not my strength. Galvanizing is getting people encouraged, like, yeah, let's all do this thing. That's not me. I'm like, it's your job, just do it. I ask my kids about chore time. Sorry you don't like doing it. Suck it up and get it done, dude.
Yeah.
I'm not an encourager, galvanizer. It's not my strengths. Not
Yeah.
that that's an excuse to be rude or anything. It's just if my role required a lot of that, I would have a hard time. Therefore, I need to supplement myself with other people. So as we look at a team dynamic, yeah, I got to get stuff done and I do what I have to. But as revenue grows, you need to look at your strengths and your vulnerabilities and start filling in some of those gaps with good hires.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And I think that is pretty much all business owners. We got our strong points and we got, the stuff that we might do it, but we ain't really feeling it.
Guess
For
why I had
sure.
3 years of unfiled tax returns at one point.
For sure. Okay, let's
Ha!
talk about your CTC family of brands. Um, can we elaborate so that people
Yeah.
understand exactly what you do?
Yeah, so I started a company. Remember the safe, legal, and ethical? That's basically the mission of Creative TC, the first company I started. We do creative finance real estate. I don't want to get too in the weeds because it's pretty much just weeds. It's a niche, it's boutique. If you wanted to buy my house and leave my loan in place, I can do that. My credit is still tied to that loan. You're just making my payments and now you own the house. Okay. Super simplified. It's buying the house and making the other person's payments. Okay. That's weird. I acknowledge that. It's not normal, but and now we have this weird relationship that lasts a long time that requires some pretty intense conversations and disclosures and acknowledgments and legal, all sorts of this, that, and structuring. So I built a business around that because there was a lack of expertise.
Mm-hmm.
People were willy-nilly doing all sorts of crazy stuff. And so Creative TC was creative transaction consulting. That said, I realized Creative TC can stand for a lot of things that are all real estate aligned. So I'm in real estate consulting. Then I wanted to start a title company for a long time because I learned all the details. And then we take these deals to title companies and they're not understanding everything. I'm training them on how to close this transaction. And I'm like, I should be in your chair. So I looked to buy a title company for a while, made offers on several. It just didn't work out because everybody's really proud of their COVID numbers, which had lots of sales and refinances. And I'm like, that's not the market I'm headed into for the next 2 to 3 years. So I'm not paying that price. I'll start my own. Thanks. So I started Creative Title Company. Well, TC now stands for transaction consulting and title company. And guess what? I'm going to start a lending business when I get this one under wraps, transaction capital. And I'm going to start a training company, TC again. So the creative TC overarching brand will contain a family of sister companies that have a lot of overlap and that benefit one another.
Oh, okay, okay. So the real estate investors will love you because, that as a real estate investor, you have all kinds of creative deals
Mhm.
that you could be working on. And, like you said, not all title companies understand how it works.
And not all lenders do. And so there's training to be given to agents, to wholesalers, to buyers, to sellers. So courses galore. I'm a speaker on real estate podcasts regularly. I guest speak at real estate events on very technical topics. And so I enjoy teaching. And so that's the family of brands that I'm building.
Oh, okay. Okay. So how do you deliver these products and in regards to AI? Let's talk a little bit about AI.
Yeah, I've said for a while now, it's an assistive technology, not a replacement technology. So it can supplement, but it can't replace so far, particularly in my niche area. It's less subject to being just automated away and delegated to AI. So I've always said that AI is an amplifier. It can amplify smart or it can amplify stupid.
True.
Who's using it and how well do they use it? And so we use it as an assistive technology. We deal with a lot of real estate contracts. We're not attorneys, but we deal with a lot of contracts in weird situations. People defaulting on one another. What am I supposed to do now? What's the best tactic? What's technically true versus what's practical? Where do I get a diminishing return on chasing something down? So we use it in that context regularly.
Okay. So if investors want to connect, how do they do so?
Ooh, the whole thing, you can find me for all the businesses at calebchristopher.io.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I've got a link to every other business. So if you're interested in the creative transaction consulting, you've got a sub to or seller finance deal, hit us up. There's a free 15-minute consult.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, that's good to know. Because most real estate investors, and I have quite a few in my family, they always seeking knowledge,
Hmm.
always seeking new ways of getting to the same place, so
Yeah.
that's good to know.
One of the interesting things about the sub to the buying subject to somebody else's loan is that for the same $100,000 of investment capital, you can likely close on two deals instead of one,
Mhm.
because the upfront cash requirements are generally lower. And I'm usually picking up a better rate than I could get if I had to go get a new investor loan. So, right, because I'm picking up somebody's resident. I walked into one where there was no equity. For example, the sellers let me have the house just taking over their payments. I didn't bring anything out of pocket to closing.
Wow. Wow.
And I've got a rental property. It breaks even, so it's not a profitable deal for me, but it's a 3.625% interest rate, which no way am I ever going to get that on an investment property, especially now. And it breaks even, and it's a good deal 5 years from now.
Yes, yes, exactly. And sometimes you have to look at all sides of
Yeah,
the coin for sure. And it sounds like they just wanted to be gone.
yeah, they already bought another house, so they're making two payments. And I'm like, listen, this won't make any money for me, but I can make your payments. Here's my credit score. Here's my history. I own multiple rentals already, so I can make those payments for you and take it off your hands. It was literally that.
Yeah, yes, yes, indeed. That's so what areas do you buy in?
Well, I own a title company in Colorado, so I'm definitely buying there. I live in Kansas City, so I'm buying in Kansas and Missouri as well.
Oh, okay, okay. And is the market pretty good there right now?
Yeah, a lot of stuff for if you're talking long-term rentals, no, there's not a lot of good long-term rental stuff. The rents haven't caught up with the prices and the monthly payments. And so if your entry fee is low, if it's low out of pocket to get into the asset, look at my Colorado deal, the 3.625 interest rate. It's a great deal because it was low cash up front and it will produce cash flow over time. Meanwhile, the debt is being paid down, it's building equity, et cetera.
Okay, okay, okay.
But a lot of people are having to shift to rent by the room model to make things cash flow right now.
Yeah, yeah, and that they do a lot of that in Baltimore.
Hmm.
A lot of that in the bigger city areas. Because like you said, it's more profitable. They can double the rent or the
Yeah.
mortgage payment doing it that way,
Yep.
for sure. Okay, so hybrid, let's talk a little bit about hybrid model benefits. Optimizing costs while maintaining high
Ooh.
quality client experience.
Was that my talking point or was that, I mean, I'm thinking dual company hybrid because
Okay.
I've got multiple companies operating. So I have cost sharing of different assets and resources, being personnel as well. I've got software subscriptions that I'm using, and then I just interbill between companies. In fact, one of my jobs, corporate job or whatever normal job that I had a long time back, was for two sister companies. They shared office space. And so one would get the lease and then they would cross bill to the sister entity for their fair share split, depending upon the size of the companies. And so I've already seen that in action. So when I start company number two, I'm like, hey, we're going to use Google Workspace. I'll create segmentation between the different file structures so that this company doesn't see this company's files and
Mhm.
vice versa. But senior management is managing both companies right now because we're a small company or a set of small companies. And so having this unified top end infrastructure, pretty stinking convenient. And it ends up being cheaper for some services where it benefits both companies.
Yes, and I get that because I'm doing similar. I
Hmm.
have another company, and the tools I have in this company
Yeah.
works for that one. So why do I need to build something different or spend money for something different when I can make this work?
And I can afford to hire a higher level of employee because it's not all borne by the one company. We can share the cost and cross bill. So
Hmm.
they both get benefit.
Yes, and that's a really good idea, for a lot of businesses to look into if they're going to be doing more than one venture.
Yeah, it's kind of like bringing the fractional high end, upper end employee in house.
Hmm. Okay. Okay, so your global talent. Um, I know you mentioned about South Africa hires.
Hmm.
Now, your hires, are they in various different regions? And what does that look like in terms of blending those cultures into your company?
I typically haven't hired in multiple countries other than, I'm US based with South African hires so that there's less of that culture blending.
Uh,
It's easier. So they speak English fluently. They speak English and Afrikaans generally, but it's almost across the board. They all speak English fluently and with an accent
okay.
that's understandable. In customer facing roles, that matters. So I have to pick and choose people who are easy to understand and who can be on video comfortably interfacing with customers because I have a consulting firm. And so
Mhm.
I can't have faceless videos, people with no face showing, et cetera, or with a hard to understand accent. Also, Americans falls for pretty, they typically fall for pretty accents. And so the British accent, the South African accent, relatively similar from an uncultured American concept. But we love it. It sounds great. And like it or not, that does impress people or make an impression that's favorable. So recruit what's beautiful, whether it sounds beautiful or looks beautiful, choose those things and people will like it.
Yes, 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 indeed. So, what made you go to South Africa? Let me just ask.
One of my best friends married an American girlfriend of mine and moved here, and he's a South African, and his brother was looking for a job, and I started having conversations, and they're generally a hardworking culture. Recently, I've been looking at the international or global marketplace, and I'm like, certain countries are known for having certain traits. I had just turned away from the Philippines because they tend to be non-assertive. I think is a fair description.
Mhm.
Culturally, they are broad strokes. So if I'm recruiting, I'm looking for a needle in a haystack to find a Filipino person who's willing to say, "Hey, that's not right. I got to push on you for this." Which, for my consulting people, I need people who are like they care about that stuff and they're willing to push. And
Mhm.
just like the areas of strength versus areas that burn you out, it didn't. I just couldn't get that performance out of most of my Filipino people that I made contact with. So I'm like, global marketplace, let's find somebody whose culture does accommodate being a more assertive. And I found that in South Africa.
Yeah, okay, okay. And that's good to know because
Yeah.
people have different reasons why they do certain things. And definitely good to go.
Yeah.
So,
If you wanted to hire a purchasing manager, somebody who's in charge of negotiating deals on stock, inventory, etc., look in Egypt, or there's several other countries, but find you a culture that is known for negotiating and put the aces in their places.
okay. I like that. Put the aces in their places. I'm gonna
Yeah.
steal that.
Well, give credit to McDonald's because that was my first job, and that's what they said. I didn't want to cook, and they're like, "Well, you can type on both computers and run the cash drawer with low mistakes. You're staying in the back window working. Aces in their places." I'm like, "Okay,
And that makes sense because you
yeah,
want to put people where they're going to be, do have the best performance for sure. Because if you try to put people in areas that they're not a fit for, it's uncomfortable for not only them, but you're going to find
yeah,
yourself, you know, constantly in a training mode or, you know, it just doesn't work. It's like trying to make a shoe fit that doesn't fit.
yeah."
Yeah, and it's gonna
It's
hurt.
uncomfortable and it stinks.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Oh, okay. Okay. One of the attributes that you have is teaching us entrepreneurship. And I heard you say before you love teaching.
I do.
So break down for us the complex ideas into clear, practical, actionable lessons.
I find that whiteboarding does wonders. I can teach academically and people can mentally be like, yeah, that's smart, but it doesn't connect with them like the real them on the inside to be practical unless they see, even if it's me just drawing a box, drawing a line and drawing another box saying this is what's happening from this to this. Just saying the stuff while you draw, it doesn't even the drawing doesn't even mean very much, but they get to see something and
Yeah.
pay more attention and they visual everybody's on the same page when you use a whiteboard. And so I have an iPad. Again, we're a remote company, so I share a screen. I cast my iPad to that screen and I draw while I talk. And the level of positive feedback is just unmatched versus this format where it's talking heads.
And you're right. I mean, because I follow a young lady on TikTok and she teaches history as it relates to what's happening right now. And she, let me get my chalk and my board,
Yeah.
and she's
Yep.
writing everything down. And it's like you glued.
Yeah. Well, you have something more interesting to watch than me picking my nose while I talk? And so but it is, and it makes it stick better because you're visually engaged. You've got
Yeah.
the spatial intelligence engaged, where it's like the relationship between items is illustrated. That's why those little sketch video ads were so popular for a while, is because I have something interesting to watch as well. I
Yeah.
also found a while back I read a book, uh, not that I recommend it, but it was interesting for me at the time. David Stelzel, and one of the things he talked about was typically, well, let's tap into people's historical vision of authority. Who is the authority? The person who stands at the front of the room and who can draw ideas from scratch. So if you're looking to look like an expert, don't give people a handout, draw it live. Your level of expertise goes through the roof by comparison to you could have put your heart and soul into a handout that says and means everything perfectly. You will get less credit for being an expert than if you just sketch some crappy little stick figure drawing while you talk. I promise.
And you know what? I never even thought about that way. And you're absolutely right.
You
And
tap into that subconscious. I'm a 6-year-old kid, and there's somebody at the front of the room who's writing on the chalkboard. That's the expert. That's the authority. That's who I need to listen to.
yes,
That's who I need to not challenge.
and that's how we grew up.
Yep. Tap into it.
You know, every school has a chalkboard. Now they have the the little what
Whiteboards, digital
yeah, the
boards. Yeah.
whiteboards. But back in the day it was chalk and the teacher would be all over the board and then she'd
Yep.
be racing and then let me put this and you like, don't erase that yet. I didn't get that yet.
Yeah. I mean, I just did a call the other day, and by the time I'm done drawing, I've drawn crisscross lines across stuff. I've highlighted and circled things. You can't read the words anymore because of all the stuff going on. So afterward, it's still not worth very much unless you were there for it.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
I keep getting done teaching. I'm like, ooh, this should be an infographic. Oh, that's not going to work.
Yes, yes, indeed. Wow. I'm loving this because, people, the more people try to innovate, the more keep it simple works every time.
Yeah. Yeah, you can do if you only get one thing as a viewer listener, if you only get one thing now that we're toward the end of the show, that would be the one thing is if you're in sales or if you're in charge of a team or you're trying to look like an expert, prove it by whiteboarding.
Yes. Yes. And you made me like I got a summit coming up in September and I was gonna do a PowerPoint. But now I done changed my mind. I'm gonna just whiteboard it because I know it. So it's gonna be easy for me to draw
Yeah.
it.
Yep. An outline is a very good way to keep yourself within a structure to make sure you're going through and to give yourself and to help pace yourself through a presentation. However, being able to sketch it live is pretty stinking important.
Yes, yes. And different because
Yeah.
most people are, the PowerPoints. A lot of people are the PowerPoints, and you very rarely see people sketching
Mhm.
unless they are educators, teachers, and people like that. That's part of their DNA.
Well, that's also what I do. So I've got the iPad and I've got an app where I can cast this to my non-Apple computer. I paid for a $35 app, Air Server. And so I can do a PowerPoint and then do a breakout. When somebody has a question, I'm like, please ask me a question. Just give me an excuse to whip out the whiteboard. And so I try to teach with stories, and the stories make somebody go like, but what about if this happens? And I'm like, thank you. Let me pull up my whiteboard
Yeah,
and I switch and I cast this to my laptop and I cast it over the presentation. We sketch, we draw. I mean, I don't care if I finish the PowerPoint. All
right.
I needed was just a guide so I could get to a point where I'm like, boom, let's go. And then I have an excuse if I'm trying to come back. I'm like, oh, we only got through 3 slides. I had 9. Oops. They're like, well, come on back. Okay.
That is too funny. Yes, indeed. Well, my last question for you. Looking ahead, what's the next industry pain point in creative finance that you will have an opportunity to address?
Mm, that's a good question. I think so. If you're familiar with Sub 2, buying with somebody else's loan in place, you should be aware of the due on sale clause. A bank can call the loan due and basically say, hey, you got to pay this whole thing off in 30 days. If they notice that you did it without their permission, and that's the format, we do it without telling them. If they notice and if they care, they can make you pay off or the whole loan. And that's pretty scary.
Yeah.
I think the next thing, and I don't even have the solution yet, is when they start using AI tools to automatically search for these deals having been done because they're not actively monitoring. So when
Mhm.
they start automating those searches, how can we fix that? I fixed due on sale. It's a very technical, complex concept, but when they start pursuing at scale, they may not be willing to take the fixes that I've previously offered.
Okay.
That's my concern for the creative finance industry.
Yes, yes. So we definitely have to stay in touch. So that way I can because we know things are changing so quickly in every industry at
Mhm.
every level. And once you speak it, it's just a matter of time. And you see it, it's just a matter of time before it comes to fruition. Just a matter of time.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. This has been awesome. You are a very delightful person to talk to. And again, how do our viewers and listeners connect with you?
CalebChristopher.io. That's got a link to I do a lot of stuff on Instagram, so you have a bunch of reels and shorts, mostly real estate related, but some family and business oriented stuff as well.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day and meeting with me today and speaking to my audience. I appreciate that.
It's
And
a pleasure.
audience, we definitely thank you for tuning in because you're the reason for the season.